Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. Before I get started on today's video, I'd like to send a shout out to Brian Davis. Brian's one of my patrons and he recently sent me a brand new GoPro. So thank you very much, Brian. It means a lot that you're willing to help out the channel in that respect, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. I recently went down to Waterton Lakes National Park and it was just such a breath of fresh air to go somewhere that wasn't the Nordegg area or, in the area that I'm used to going. I've been heading out to the same general area all summer, so it was just nice to get a change of scenery. Waterton is beautiful. It's one of those weird places where the prairie just turns directly into mountains. There's no foothills or anything. It's just flat, and then these mountains sprout up, so it's really cool to see scenery like that. The vegetation is totally different than what I'm used to. I've always known Waterton as the bear capital of Alberta. Every time I go down there, it seems I see a bear, whether it be a black bear or a grizzly bear. This is the first trip actually where I didn't get a visual sighting of a bear. But there was lots of bear scat and bear sign all over the place.
Remember, this is where the bear was at one time. Like, in this kind of area.
Basically what I wanted to do was go on a hike that had a lot of beach area. There's a lot of muddy spots, so it's really easy to pick up tracks. And in fact, I did find some human tracks, some bear human footprints. They're easily identifiable. Definitely not a Sasquatch. It's just, very close to a hiking trail and also a horse riding trail, so I wouldn't assume any of that is from a Sasquatch. In the scene coming up here, we actually had to take our boots off and our socks, so we were walking around bare feet as well, leaving tracks. So it's very interesting. Sometimes you do come across naked human footprints and, in weird areas, so not every naked footprint out in the woods is a Sasquatch. We came to a point in the trip where we had to cross a section of water and there was no way to go around it. So we basically picked the shallowest spot, which ended up being over our waists, and we just had to tough it out. The water was really cold, the rocks were really painful on the bottom of the feet, but, we soldiered through it.
How deep is it? Like, how deep are we talking?
To cross right here.
Well, you're going first, because I want to know how deep it is.
Anything you don't want to get wet, put it in your backpack.
It's never very fun to do an entire hike with wet clothes, so we weren't really expecting to cross that river and we weren't prepared for it. So unfortunately, that's what happens.
Fuck. This is brutal. What are we doing? I don't like this.
Oh yeah, it's nice and warm. Very.
Fuck. Oh. Okay. Yep, it's getting strong. Yep. Ah! What are we doing? Ah! Oh! Oh, it's pushing me. Oh my god. My back. Okay. I'm sorry. My water. I'm sorry.
There you go.
My feet are very sensitive.
Well, we just did our most miserable river crossing ever. Water was very cold and the rocks were very sharp. But it was worth it, right? Worth it?
We'll see.
We have to cross it again on the way back.
The reason I wanted to visit Waterton, of all places, is that there were a few Sasquatch reports on the Sasquatch Alberta website already. Back in the early 80s, someone was walking down a game trail, they were collecting firewood, and they came across multiple tracks that were around 17 inches long. So very large Sasquatch footprints have been found in the area. Another report back in late May 2004, I think, there was an individual driving down one of the highways, the Akamina Highway, which is actually closed right now, so I couldn't drive down that road due to the wildfire that went through the area last year. But back in 2004, a gentleman was driving down this highway, and he saw a Sasquatch standing in the ditch, and it looked right at him, you know, and for years after he would tell people, and nobody believed him, they would laugh at him, and he's convinced that he saw something he couldn't explain. Probably the most famous incident was back in 1988, the Crandall Campground incident, and I've been to the Crandall Campground area, I think a couple years ago. I do make it a point to go to Waterton once every summer, but a couple years ago I went to this area. You know, it's tucked away in the mountains, and in this incident there was 4 witnesses, and it was late at night. I think it was getting close to 1 a.m. and they were sitting around the campfire, this group of people. They started hearing like a weird snorting noise, and they were convinced it was a bear. They thought a bear was coming up on them. So they ran to their vehicle, they got in, and they turned the headlights on to see, you know, an upright being walking for about 3 to 4 seconds before it disappeared. They were convinced it was a Sasquatch. They said it was about 8 feet tall, and it was walking like a human, and it never went down on all fours. They kind of took off with the vehicle in the direction that this creature went, ended up passing another vehicle. They flashed their lights at them, and they both met up. And the other vehicle said that they also saw something very strange that night that they couldn't explain. So there's a lot of reports that come out of this area, which is very interesting. You know, if you walk the beaches, if you walk along these sandy areas, there's a good chance you might find some tracks. Unfortunately, during my time down in Waterton this summer, I didn't find anything, didn't find any tracks, didn't hear any weird noises. I didn't even have a bear encounter, which I thought I was going to. Actually, that's almost not true. It's interesting. We came out of the bushes at the end of the hike, and there were some kayakers paddling along the shore, and they pulled their boats up to us when we were walking along the beach. And they told us that about 100 yards away from where we came out of the bush, a bear had ran out of the trees into the water. So I'm guessing our movement kind of scared the animal out of the trees and into the lake. The vegetation there is very thick, so it's kind of hard to see if anything's close to you. You know, you're not going to know it's there until you're right on top of it, basically. Some areas of Waterton are very cool, and they almost look very jungle-like. You get these big deciduous plants with huge leaves. It reminds me of a jungle. And it can switch in a heartbeat to like spruce trees and nothing but conifers. It's very cool.
Sure is brisk. This is the really strong spot, yeah.
In a few days, I'm going to be heading out to retrieve my trail camera from the Nordegg site, and then the next week I'm heading out to Vancouver Island, or as I like to call it, Ape Island. I haven't been out there since I visited John Bindernagel, so I'm really looking forward to going out there, and hopefully we come across something good. I can't wait to show you guys. Thanks for watching this episode of Mountain Beast Mysteries. We'll see you next time.